many of you actually think that in 500 years from now, people will remember the Holocaust? If you want a way to gauge the answers to that question, think to yourself, how many people do you know who remember the day of Tisha B'Av? What's Tisha B'Av? Tisha B'Av is the Jewish National Day of Mourning, where we think about, reflect, and commemorate all of the tragedies that have ever befallen the Jewish people. Many of them have happened on this particular day. And things like the destruction of the first temple, the second temple, the ensuing 2,000-year exile, the destruction of Beitar, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, the starting of the First World War, and yes, the Holocaust, and even the modern-day tragedies that happened to the Jewish people in Israel. Many of these happened on this very date in Jewish history, and many of them were, yes, even more painful, more destructive than the Holocaust, which we recently have endured. In Judaism, if we can take one day and think about all the tragedies that have befallen the Jewish people and mourn properly on that day, then that means I'm really connected with the rest of the Jewish people. I'm connected with the Jewish history. And therefore, I really feel part of the Jewish family and the team. If I take one day and mourn properly, then for the rest of the year, I can feel the joy and the pride in being Jewish. And also, I can come with certain insights into what it means to be Jewish and how to avoid these tragedies in the future. How do we mourn? Well, starting this Saturday night and all the way through until Sunday evening, it's a fast day. We don't eat or drink anything. We don't bathe or shower. We don't have marital relations, wear leather shoes, or anoint. And use anointing lotions. There are some people who even don't sleep with a pillow on Saturday night. And we sit on the floor in dimmed lights, you know, starting from the evening, Saturday evening until noon on Sunday. And we only learn those pieces of Torah that are applicable, that help us mourn and feel the tragedies of the Jewish people. We spend the day reading the Book of Lamentations, watching Holocaust films, and just basically thinking about the tragedies. Why did the Holocaust happen? Why have we suffered? Why is the Jewish people not perfect? What are we doing that we deserve these things? Think about it and make resolutions in the future to fix the problems. Fix the problems of baseless hatred. Fix the problems of being judgmental to our fellow Jews. Fix the problems of being lackadaisical in our observance of God's commandments. When we do this, then we connect ourselves with thousands of years of Jewish history and allow ourselves to live joyfully in the future. There's a beautiful story of Napoleon Bonaparte. One night, it's Tisha B'Av, he's walking through the streets of Paris, and he notices in a synagogue there are Jews crying, sitting in the dark on the floor and reading the Book of Lamentations. He sends his aide in to find out what exactly happened. And the response was, these Jews were crying over the destruction of their holy temple and the ensuing exile. He said, oh, well, it's a building. Just build the building. No, Your Majesty, you don't understand. These Jews are crying over an event that happened and continued. It started 1,800 years prior. Whereupon Napoleon said the very wise statement, any nation that will mourn over the destruction of the temple and its ensuing exile will merit to rejoice in the rebuilding of its temple and the ingathering of its exiles. And Napoleon, without knowing, had really echoed the words of the sages, where we are told that if we observe Tisha B'Av properly, if we cry over our problems and our tragedies today, then we will all merit the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash, the rebuilding of our temple, the ingathering of the exiles, the coming of Mashiach, and the Jewish people reaching its fruition, reaching the pinnacle of its purpose of creation to bring goodness into the world and perfect the world.